Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving into something truly profound. We are looking specifically at ACIM Lesson 137. Whether you have been studying this material for years or you are just stumbling upon it for the very first time, the concepts we are going to explore today offer a radical, totally paradigm-shifting way to look at how we connect with ourselves and the world around us. We are going to break down these big, complex ideas into clear, bite-sized insights that you can actually use. Let's get right into it. The text gives us our anchor for today right out of the gate. The lesson is simply this: when I am healed, I am not healed alone. It's a beautifully simple sentence, right? But man, as we'll see, it carries massive implications. It completely flips the script on the everyday assumption that our inner lives, our pains, and our recoveries are just these solo, isolated experiences. Instead, it points to a deeply intertwined reality. It basically says that your personal breakthrough literally creates a ripple effect on the rest of the world. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of how that actually works, I want you to take a second and think about a time when you felt totally cut off from the rest of humanity. Have you ever felt entirely isolated in your pain? We've all been there for sure. It's that heavy, sinking feeling that literally no one else could possibly understand what you are going through, and you are just trapped in a bubble of your own suffering. Now, contrast that deep, dark isolation with the incredible relief of finally feeling understood and connected to someone else. That massive shift between those two states, that is exactly what this text is trying to address. Part 1. Sickness as True Isolations. Okay, so to really grasp this, we have to look at how the text radically redefines what it actually means to be sick. Throw out your medical dictionaries for a minute because this isn't about biology or germs. It's a completely different lens. The text describes sickness as a psychological or spiritual state. It defines it as a retreat from others and a shutting off of joining. Think of it like a heavy door that closes on a separate self, keeping it isolated and alone. According to this framework, when we are unwell in this sense, we are essentially withdrawing from the whole interconnected web of humanity. We are buying into the illusion that we are completely disconnected, vulnerable, and totally cut off from the rest of the world. Notice how sickness is portrayed here as a kind of solitary prison. The text describes the mind as feeling split apart and held in pieces by a solid wall of sickened flesh. It's a super intense metaphor, isn't it? The physical body, in this isolated state of mind, acts as the ultimate proof that you are separate from me. It creates this highly convincing illusion that the separation from others is real. We look at our physical boundaries and say, well, I end here and you begin way over there, so we are separate. But the text argues that this specific belief is the actual root of true suffering. Part 2. Healing as Universal Oneness. So if sickness is separation, what exactly is the cure? The text puts these two concepts side by side to really highlight the contrast. On one side, you have sickness, which is characterized by isolation, illusion, and this awful feeling of being split apart or dismembered. But on the flip side, healing represents oneness, truth, freedom, and a beautiful return to unity. Healing, in this context, is a conscious decision to just be one again. It's waking up to the fact that you are part of a massive, unified whole, and that your true self is perfectly intact. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. The text explains that healing operates completely apart from the so-called laws of sickness. The author actually describes healing as a counter-dream. Think about it this way. If sickness is a nightmare where you are isolated and broken, healing doesn't run around trying to fix all the scary monsters inside the nightmare. It just wakes you up. It cancels out the dream of sickness by recognizing that the physical body simply cannot attack or break our universal oneness. The connection we share goes way, way deeper than the physical walls we try to build around ourselves. Part 3. Waking up from the dream. Okay, so if sickness is basically a dream of separation, an illusion we have totally bought into, how exactly do we go about waking up to the truth? Well, the crucial point is this. To be healed is merely to accept what always was the simple truth. Honestly, this is probably the most relieving idea in the entire lesson. Healing doesn't require you to go in and fix something that is hopelessly broken. It merely removes illusions that haven't actually occurred in reality. It's literally like turning on a light in a dark room and realizing that the terrifying monster in the corner was actually just a pile of laundry. The monster was never real, you just have to see the simple truth. To help us recognize it, the text outlines 3 distinct attributes of true healing. First up, healing is freedom. And by that, it specifically means freedom from these dark dreams and illusions. Second, healing is shared. It is literally impossible to experience true spiritual healing in total isolation, because the very act of healing reconnects you to absolutely everyone. And third, healing is strength. By its gentle hand, the weakness and vulnerability we feel when we are isolated are completely overcome. When our minds are finally free to join with others, we become forever strong. Part 4. Sharing healing with the world. So what actually happens to other people when we take the steps to heal our own minds? Because remember, today's core lesson is that we do not do this alone. And the text makes a massive sweeping promise here. It states that as you let yourself be healed, as you drop those illusions of separation, everyone around you is healed along with you. And this doesn't just apply to the people sitting in the room with you. The text says it impacts those who merely cross your mind, people you touch, and even those who seem to have zero direct contact with you. Legions upon legions, the text claims, receive the exact same gift that you receive when you choose unity over isolation. How wild is that? By clearing your mind of these illusions, you completely transform. The text says, those who are healed become the instruments of healing. You effectively become a haven where the weary can rest. And the text points out something amazing. Absolutely no time elapses between the instant you are healed and the grace of healing you are instantly capable of giving. Just by existing in a state of peace and recognizing the truth of our oneness, you are actively bringing illusions to the truth for everyone else around you. You become a living, breathing shelter for peace. Part 5. How to practice the lesson. Now, it's one thing to understand all this intellectually, right? But applying it demands actual practice. You might think that reversing a whole lifetime of feeling isolated would require this grueling, exhausting mental workout. But the author actually assures us of how little practice you need to undertake. These are designed to be really gentle lessons. They teach how easily this sense of peace and salvation can be yours, smoothly replacing the rigid, stressful laws you previously believed were holding you prisoner. The whole process is meant to be a relief, not a heavy burden. To that end, the text gives us highly specific instructions for integrating this lesson into our day. It asks you to dedicate just 10 minutes in the morning to focus on this concept. Then, to keep the momentum going, you are asked to remember the lesson briefly every single hour as the clock strikes. And finally, you conclude your day with another 10 minutes of reflection at night. It's this beautiful, structured rhythm designed to constantly pull your mind back from the illusion of isolation throughout your waking hours. During those brief hourly pauses, you are urged to repeat this specific phrase out loud or in your mind. When I am healed, I am not healed alone, and I would bless my brothers, for I would be healed with them as they are healed with me. By stating this, you actively remember your function. You are making a conscious choice, hour by hour, to exchange the pain of separation for the peace of connection. You are reminding yourself that your mind is a profoundly powerful tool for collective well-being. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought directly from the text to ponder today. It asks, is not a little time a small expense to offer for the gift of everything? When you weigh a few short minutes of practice against the absolute profound freedom of dropping your sense of isolation and becoming an instrument of healing for the entire world, well, doesn't that seem like the greatest trade imaginable? The text invites you simply to be at home in this truth. Thank you so much for exploring this remarkable explainer with me today.